It's a Wednesday, so it's ECKD here on ZMS Broadcasting. Dave Morrison with you for the duration commentary. Week 5 of ECKD's E-Cycle Club Denmark's weekly Wednesday at 7 p.m. Hopefully a very good turnout as usual on these Wednesdays. It's the Wednesday to do. There are a couple of others around, but ECKD, clear market leader on a Wednesday evening. Look out during the week, there's several clear market leaders. Monday evenings, of course, is my Monday Malarkey. On Tuesday evenings, you have OTR's Titans. Wednesday is ECKD, which is why we're all here tonight. Looking forward to it as well, aren't we? And Thursday nights, OTR's New Horizons. Friday, Ratio Racing. And on the weekend, don't forget Moonriders Eroica events. So those are your kind of main leading events during the week. That takes care of the whole week. And don't forget to go out on your local club ride on a Sunday, unless, of course, it's too icy for you. And in Northern Europe, we can expect a little bit of that, not least in Scandinavia. And I'm sure the Danes are very used to that. Now, we're in week 5. We've covered all 4 of them so far. So this is becoming a bit of a regular haunt for me on a Wednesday. And I have to say I've enjoyed them very much so far. Always popular when they were on RGT beforehand. And of course, we will remember that classic day when I don't know whether it was a launch or it wasn't, but they had that really big day in Copenhagen where people were live in the studio and racing online, which I was very privileged to be a part of on the commentary that night. Since then, ECKD have grown into a huge force of e-riding, VR riding, and I have to say it is always an honour to be asked by ZMS to commentate on these particular events. 1 minute 24 to the starting line. Let's have a quick look at the course. This is, of course, the Coastal Loop Reverse, and it looks, I think, as if we are doing. It says 1 lap on there, but I think there's a rumour that it might be 2. So let's just see when we get over to the start line what it says. 16 kilometres in a lap. It's almost flat. You'll see that the profile just above the coloured map, there's a grey line. That's the profile. Whilst it's mainly flat, it sort of undulates a little bit. Obviously, this is around the coast, so you'd expect it to be at sea level. But sometimes there's a little bit of a, should we call it a cliff or a rise, where the road is slightly higher than the beach. Other points, it's sort of level with the beach. So therefore, slight undulations. But I don't think there's enough in a 16 kilometre lap there, really, to define an obvious attack point. People will have to judge it on the way. I suspect the main tactic, if you want to separate the groups, will just be to push hard on the front and see who drops off the front peloton. So, with 20 seconds to go, let's see who's on the start line. And expect some big names here. We've got 36 on the start line, which is a pretty healthy turnout, and would expect that. All in one lane, you notice. I'm not sure that there's 6 seconds to go. Not sure I quite know why, but I think that's to do with the roads being open and other riders coming the other way being able to ride on the other side of the road. I think that's the reason. So I think you'll see the riders stuck on one side of the road. We've got a pacer bot, and here's the pacer bot, silhouetted out in white. Now, you mustn't go past the pacer bot. Some people catching up, they can't brake as well. And unless they sort of slow down about now, they're going to draw level. This rider is, and he's going to have his brakes slammed on and thrown back, and is the second rider to pass. You need to sit behind the pacer bot. These guys, it's going to happen to them too. The brakes are going to be slammed on and they'll be thrown back. Now, I don't personally think this is the worst thing in the world in the early stages of a race. However, it depends where you get thrown back in the race. And if it's just before what I call the flamme blanc, which you get 2 plumes of white flame coming out the side of the road. If it's just before then and you find yourself at the back of the peloton when everybody else accelerates off the front because the neutralised zone ends and the pacer becomes irrelevant, at that point, if you're at the back, you might be in trouble. So it's really not too much of a problem in the early stages of the race. You just don't really want to get too close to the pacer when you're coming up to the 1 kilometre mark. But equally, you don't want to be on the back. And here it is. You can see the 2 plumes coming out of the road. The pacer well ahead, quite comfortable. They're riding at a decent pace. I think 31 kilometres to go. So it is 2 laps, as I was saying earlier. I thought it was. And once that pacer passes those 2 white plumes, you can go level with the pacer, but I don't get the impression that anybody can quite catch the pacer at the moment. The pacer sort of sped up a little bit. One rider off the front though, and as we watch the pacer go through, now it's everybody for themselves. One rider already off the front. It looks like Rasmus Feldball, well known for it, ECKD. Jakob Hvid behind him. Martin Ostensen behind him. And Matt Oram, it's all moving. Niels Bustron in there. Matt James in there for Electric Spirit. They're a very strong team. Expect something from Matt James in this race. Doug Hart for Pedalers, of course. And who else have we got? Quite a few. Jesper Gottlieb racing on Monday in my own. Monday Malarkey, remember, 7:30 p.m. every Monday. Absolutely jam-packed. 77 riders this week. 76 this week. 77 the week before, and 79 the week before that. Monday Malarkey is your Monday night choice. 7:30 every Monday. I am biased because I run it, but other races are available. On Tuesdays, there's OTR Titans. On Wednesdays, it's ECKD, which we love covering, and of course New Horizons from OTR on a Thursday, Ratio on a Friday, and Moon Riders over the weekend with their Heroica series. Doug Hart, no it's not, it's Henrik Mard for Pedalers off the front. The orange strip there, I don't know why I thought it was Doug Hart, other than the strip is the same as Doug Hart's, because Doug Hart never has a helmet on his avatar. Martin Orams is the leader at the moment. He's got Ingmar van Beurs from the Netherlands running for Ratio Racing just behind him. You can see the ECKD shirts there, the red with the white band round the middle. They will stand out, and there's plenty of Danes. As you can see from the right hand side of your screen, there's plenty of Danish flags in there. Netherlands, Wales, Martin H. Britain is represented by Mac James of Electric Spirit, formerly mentioned. We still have 34 riders on the course. That'll probably be 33, because I assume one will be one of the camera bots. This bunch pretty stuck together, and this is not that surprising as we look at Roman Hubley's stats. 244 watts being put out, a cadence of 91, a heart rate of 124, 29 kilometres to go. They don't want to go too into the red at the moment. 38 kph. Take it in turns on the front, guys, because I think you don't really particularly want to sort of burn yourself out leading everybody else. Sitting in this pack can be quite advantageous as they maintain that 38 to 39 kph speed with 29 kilometres to go. Remember, 2 laps tonight. Henrik Mard in there, Martin H. we've mentioned, Doug Hart we've mentioned, and some of the jerseys. There's an OTR rider on the back of the group there. Nick Greenouch in for Ratio Racing. Looking at him, he's currently in 19th. Not that it means a lot, but somebody's just gone off the front. Somebody's gone off the front. Somebody else is chasing, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's Matt Wouter Clays. I always get confused. I had to apologise for this on Monday during the Monday Malarkey race. But Moon Riders' traditional kit is a little bit different, and I didn't recognise it straight away on the IndieVelo version. Wouter off the front now. He's got 3 seconds on Doug Hart. Doug Hart will chase. I'm telling you now, Doug Hart will not let that go. Jorgen van Beurs and Rasmus Feldball, likewise, Jakob Hvid as well. This is Doug Hart, and as I say, never wears a helmet, so you recognise Doug. 265 in that chase. The rest of the peloton now joining Doug, so he gets a bit of respite as the others form a subgroup. Now, this could cause a split, because that is not the whole peloton in this break, and this is what happens when somebody pushes off the front. You get the splits. Wouter causing trouble now. Still got 3 seconds on Roman Hubley at the moment now, and Jakob Hvid in there as well. Hubi, I should have said Roman Hubi. Iger Kopsy in there. We haven't mentioned Slovenia, and a couple of Slovenians in the pack now. Looking back, further back, we're looking at Anders Jonsson from Sweden, just ahead of Craig Jones and Nicky Haugard. Andrew Street in there for OTR, and Patrick Hugard for Denmark. These guys now off the back a little bit. 18th now is Anders Jonsson. Can he get back into something of the second peloton? This is the front peloton now. 34 riders still in the race. Let's call that 33. Matt James off the front, just in front of Henrik Mard in the Pedalers Orange. Matt James running for Electric Spirit, who've now got this orange and white kit. They were all white or generally white in the old days, but now they've got their own kit. 3 riders slightly off the front now. It's Matt James for Electric Spirit, James Melville from Glasgow United, And coming up and going past them is Roman Ubi, Henrik Mard chasing as well. This is all coming back together again a little bit. Don't know if a couple of riders got lost off the main group, but we've still got 33 riders competing in the race. So this has caused some damage, I suspect, but it looks mainly I'm just looking at Nick Greenhouse slightly off the front for Rasio now. Niels Bjornstein is just behind him for Fiat, sorry, pardon. And these 4 Danish flags in there: Roman Huby for Slovenia, Martin H for Wales, Nick Greenhouse off the front, the Rasio racing rider, is of course now 1 second ahead. He's being caught by Wouter Claes from Moon Riders. Don't forget, Moon Riders running that Heroica event on a weekend. I think Saturday it is on, so look out for Wouter's event there. And Wouter putting out 410 now as he puts a bit of pressure on the front. And he's got 4 seconds on Doug Hart. I don't think Doug Hart will... he's got 2 seconds on Nick Greenhouse, 5 seconds on Doug Hart now. There's a long way to go, 26 kilometres to go, and I don't think he's going to hold that. But that is a sizable gap now, isn't it? 7 seconds back to Doug Hart. Quite what Wouter's thinking this early into the race, I don't know. I think he appreciates that this isn't going to last as a solo effort. And he's certainly got Nick Greenhouse, I think, just encroaching now, only 2 seconds back to Nick. I think he'll accept that what this does is really cause some damage off the back, as we see Doug Hart now chasing Nick Greenhouse. Rasmus Felpel's only a second behind him, and Mark Sorum 6 seconds behind still. So there is a sizable gap, but look, there are gaps all the way down. I think you'll probably lose about half a dozen riders, that's 6 riders, out of the group roughly, because of this split. And we get the split screen here, and looking back at this other group over here, we're looking at 27th, and this is a lot further back. Jakob Matteson, Henrik Poulsen, Craig Jones, and Hugh J, Patrick Kravlund, and Soren Tideman, Bruno Pereira, Andrew Street, and Sean Lavelle, all in that group now. That I would say mainly, there's probably a couple of riders behind them, because I think it's 33 left in there, and that takes us up to 31. So there's a couple of riders beyond them, but that was the back group. Now the nice thing is they are riding in a group, and it does mean, of course, that they can have their own little battle at their own little level, and it becomes an interesting race for them. They still got a long way to go there. 25 kilometres to go. We're going to be here for a while this evening. 24.9 kph on this group at the moment. We're looking at the very front group now, and it has split down to 8 riders. You can see the group just behind them. Is 8 strong enough to hold out? I don't think so. I think the group behind will bridge that gap. 47 kph on a 0% gradient. There's no gradient here, but this is the second group chasing, and I think they can bridge that gap. Certainly somebody in the middle now is bridging themselves across, but I think most of the people in that group will make the juncture and get across. This is Jasper Gottlieb now, the rider really pushing hard to get across. He's doing 412 watts, and he's got back on, joins another ECKD rider in the process. So plenty of as they go through one of the barriers. Now this barrier isn't relevant to our race because there's nothing written on the screen that's dangling from it, so you can ignore that. It's to do with other courses. This group now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 riders, and you can see the second group now catching up, and I thought this would happen. I don't guess everything right, but it just had the characteristics of a group strong enough to do that. And of course, I suspect, and the riders out the front can tell you how they feel, as we see Wouter Claes getting swallowed up. I think there's only so much you can do on the front. Come on, Doug Hart, Christophe Canton from France in the Massif Central. Great race, everyone. Good comments, Dave. You are so kind, Christophe, but I know you're a good guy, because we've known each other virtually for a few years on this rally. Now, this is always interesting, the split. Half the group's gone one way, half the group's gone the other. Now, I am telling you, this is a fact. Both sides of this split are absolutely equal. You get the same amount of gradient or descent, and you get exactly the same distance. I think, and this is my experience from racing on here, that the difference is which group you get in. If you get in a fast group on the right side, you will come out ahead of the group on the other side. Always interesting to see what happens during the split. So you can see now the riders in the group on the left are not as advanced as the group is on the right, or are they? In fact, look, they're all coming back together. So it's thinned out the width of the peloton, if you take that as an observation, and it hasn't. Everybody hasn't had quite the same benefit of the draft in a fat bunch, but they've got round either side roughly at the same time, and it will come together now. Although we get James Melville, Ruben Huby going off the front, being chased down by Nick Greenhouse in that familiar Ratio Racing kit. Doug Hart in the bright orange behind it. Doug Hart is the pedaller's rider without the helmet on, always remember. The other pedaller's rider has a helmet on. That's how you distinguish between the two. These are all the tricks of the trade of the commentator. Not that I'm a professional commentator. This is something I discovered thanks to this wonderful world of VR racing. And half the people on here, you feel like you know them, and you've never actually physically met most of them. Anyway, it's Martin H off the front now, the Welshman in the orange, yet again orange, but now the front taken up by Roman Huby once again. Pressure on the front, 56 kilometers per hour. It's minus 1%. That little 1% giving them that extra edge on the speed front. And once again, Joris Nitten there, 260 and 52 kph, 310 now, putting a bit more effort in. Still minus 1% on there. So you don't have to put a lot in. The thing is, if you can sit in the group, look, every rider is different. We haven't mentioned Grant Crothers in there, have we? Who's displaying a Norwegian flag. I would never have taken Crothers as a Norwegian name, but what do I know? It doesn't sound Scandinavian, but it may well be. Who knows? Now then, even my own name, apparently, I am told, has original Scandinavian origins. Oranges. That's too many clubs wearing oranges in their kit now, isn't it? It's getting, keep mentioning these orange jerseys, and suddenly Origins becomes oranges. Anyway, there's a couple of oranges in there at the moment. They are voted for pedallers. One of them's Doug Hart, of course. And, the group now settling down a little bit. It's in at 45 kph and a 0% gradient. This is still pretty good speeds, and it's enough to drop weaker riders off over the process of the race. 20 kilometres, 20.8 kilometres still to go. We haven't even completed a lap yet. Let's just remind ourselves of what a lap looks like. And as you know, it goes right around the coast. And here we go. Thank you very much. Wonderful productions as ever by ZMS. You can see right along the coastline, in and out the bays. Remember that as you go in and out the bays, the wind direction will change, and the wind direction is critical in these races. However, this particular race, as you can see from your screen, only has a 3 to 4 kph wind, so it's not going to be the most advantageous behind you or the most destructive in front of you. But as you twist and turn around those curves, you'll find yourself curves, coves, inlets, whatever you want to call them. But that coastline being jagged, as you go one way and then back out the other, in and out coves or round headlands, the wind direction will change, and it'll be easy to harder. 4 kilometers an hour at the moment. Usually, I say usually, I assume it's random, but my experience is often 7 to 8, 6, 7, 8 kph. So this is a very light wind, and when you set these up, you can set them up for light wind, which I suspect is probably what's happened. Now, talking about what has happened, what is happening? Coming up in January, we have the Tour du Monde, and this is a 12 rates extravaganza. Oh my goodness, and look, right on cue, there's a trailer. Now, you'll know this from RGT. Tour de Monde is massive, everybody does it, and it's back in January on IndieVelo. So, the amount of transition of great race organisers over to IV from RGT continues. OTR running that particular spectacular. So back to the race. It's Iga Copsey off the front in the blue. It's not. It's Anders Johnson, actually, I think. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Anders Johnson off the front. The Swede, and he's wearing Swedish colours with Henrik Mard, another Swede, not in Swedish colours. He's in orange, or should I call it origins? His origins are in orange. And these two Swedes now working together. They've got 2 seconds on Nick Greenhouse and Doug Hart, 3 seconds now. But I think they won't hold that. Oranges! Yes. Oranges. Yes. What else can we say about oranges? I don't know. And should we say that the guy in the lead's the Mandarin? These jokes are going to get worse, so we better get back to the cycle racing, hadn't we? The bunch now in pursuit of the Swedes at the front. We see one of the Glasgow United riders off the back. I think Anders Johnson just sitting up there a little bit, allowing for the inevitable as the bunch sweeping up. It's Niels Bjornstein who's leading the chase. Anders Johnson still on the front. Jesper Rarberg is coming up as well. Martin Oram and plenty of others. And sorry, the little ping in the background, if you heard it, is my TTT team telling me that they've all nicely found the TTT they're meant to be riding on IndieVelo tonight, of course. So it's background noise is explained. It's all going on. This is called multitasking, you know. I can actually do it. Not brilliantly, but I can do it. Who is this on the front? Now, I'll give you a clue. They're wearing orange, so it gives me another chance to talk about something orange. And it's... I'm also getting teased by a producer to identify whether we're riding. It's getting a little bit darker in the screen, as you can see, and it's is it the moon or the sun that's creating the light? And if you'd like to vote on that, we'll have a vote on it this week, because I clearly got it wrong last week. Nevertheless, Wouter Clays has overtaken Doug Hart, so that takes the emphasis off orange, because Wouter Clays is definitely not wearing orange, but he's certainly 2 seconds in front of somebody in orange, Doug Hart, and Wouter Clays putting out near enough 300 watts. As again, I think Wouter's doing this just to break the will of some of the riders behind. 6 seconds back to the main bunch. That includes Ingmar and Jorgen van Berz, the two brothers from the Netherlands. Jakob David, Iga Copsey from Slovenia, of course. Roman Hubi, which we know about. Doug Hart, though, he's closing that up, isn't he? And there we are. It's Nick Greenhouse that makes a juncture with Doug Hart. Now, these three have got a pretty healthy 3 seconds on the main bunch. 16.8 kilometres to go. So we're about to hit the start of lap 2. Lap 1 coming to an end, a few hundred metres, and we will go through the sign. And I would point out that this sign coming up should have 1 lap to go written on it. And my point earlier about when you go under the banner and there's nothing lit up there, it's because that banner's there for, or arch, if you want to call it an arch, is there for another race. So, week 5 is in full play. We're about to go through the arch. I think things are likely to come back together again a little bit here. I don't think there's a holdout of another whole lap, but certainly coming up to the barrier. So let's see the front guys go through it. And they're getting caught by one of the Glasgow United rider, which is James Melville, of course, goes through, and you can see lit up there, 1 lap to go, just as I said. And what a beautiful sky with that pinky cloud in there. And so who's going to win? Well, James Melville now taking a turn on the front. James likes to do this. Roman Hubi, the Slovenian, taking it up. The guys put the pressure on the front, but I think they've probably pretty much done as much damage as they're going to do by the turns on the front. And I think now it's really who's got the strength for this whole distance, 32 kilometres. Now, I don't know, I can't speak for every rider and how long their races are. I don't do most of mine this long, but it's probably very true that they ride other races far longer than this. So I can judge these riders by distances I'm familiar with seeing them riding. And so therefore, this is slightly uncharted territory for this particular commentator. We watch Henrik Mard, the Swede, being chased down by James Melville, who's going to go past and take the lead. The gap between them and the peloton is next to meaningless, because that is all going to come together, I assure you. We know who's in the group. We still have 33 riders, which means 32 if you take out the bot. So we've only lost a couple of riders so far in the first lap, which is great news, isn't it? 40 kph on the front and 41 kph now. Back to Hugh, and Hugh J is HJ is putting out putting some pressure on his bottom bracket. Is the power of 151, cadence of 90. That's back in 30th position. This is the back group. It's great to see the back group here all together. They aren't quite at the back. Per Tideman is further back, as we can see behind the camera. But this little group looks set for a nice little tussle at the end. They haven't completed lap 1, by the way. I hope they've got lights on their bikes, as it's getting very dark now, isn't it? So, okay. And I should imagine it's probably getting quite dark for most of the riders outside in real life, isn't it? This is Craig Jones. He's out on his own. He's 25th, but he's on his own, but he's got 47 seconds back, and he's got 49 seconds ahead to Henrik Paulsen, who we haven't mentioned. Neil Walker in there. Great to see Neil from up there near Inverness in Scotland. Jakob Mathiasen we've mentioned. Nicky Hogarth we mentioned. Great to see you, Neil. And Henrik Paulsen here, BMXFF, the BMX old boys. Here's Neil Walker riding for OTR in the green, of course, just behind the ECKD riders, whose jerseys don't look quite as red in this darkness, do they? So must be the moon. Must be the moon. Nobody voted. So that means if I tell you this is moonlight and not sunlight, I am the winner. Certainly not of the race. And 23rd is Neil Walker at the moment, the Scottish rider. Eileen Davidson's other half. If you spotted Eileen in a Monday Malarkey races every 7:30 every Monday evening here on IndieVelo. Eileen currently vying for the Ladies League Championship in the Monday night races with Monday Malarkey. So good luck to Eileen. And she didn't win yesterday. She came second to Monday. She came second to Gail Robinson of Twickenham, and a very tight tussle on Mondays between Twickenham and West London ladies. So the ladies competition for the team's part of it is looking very, very exciting. Quite looking forward to that. It is a unisex league. I think they're all male in the race tonight, though. Henrik Mard now off the front in that the electric. I'm getting them all muddled up. It's all these oranges. I tell you, it's all these oranges. Electric Spirit is the white and orange. It's Doug Hart off the front. ECKD riders taking up places 2 and 3. Not anymore though, as it's Roman Hooby going off the front again. Ratio rider coming through there. Iger Copsey. We've got Nick Greenhalgh and Iger in that front group for Ratio Racing. Jorgen van Beurs in there too. Ingmar van Beurs making up 4 Ratio riders. Absolutely phenomenal performance by the Ratio team, the Ratio Racing team. Ratio means racing in Welsh. But it's Roman Hooby on the front, but it's all bunched up. It doesn't mean anything at the moment. Just means he's probably shouting some other riders. Someone in orange is going through. Yeah, I think there'll be this sort of day when every team's got orange on, won't they? Pokemotion and I think Pokemotion, Ratio, Electric Spirit and Peddlers all wear orange. It's the popular colour, isn't it? 38 kph, 1% gradient, which is knocked them back from that sort of 40ish. They're down to 36. As I was saying earlier, you only get these 1% gradients where the road sort of goes inland a little bit. You can see around the house, so the landscape is slightly raised away from beach level, but they drop down here. You can see the sand on the beach, and we're back down to beach level, sea level, as we go past another one of the buildings. Not so many buildings in IV Landscapes, IndieVelo, in beta stage, so I'm hoping that will grow and develop, but not that I want cities growing up on this green land. We don't want the environment spoilt, do we? But it has to be said that landmarks do make the riding a little bit more interesting when you pop out into your garden shed and do a bit of solo riding. Now then, James Melville is 4 seconds behind Wouter. You can see Wouter. He's clearly chasing him down. He's got a second on Doug Hart. He's got a second on Nick Greenhouse. I think this is probably going to be hard work for these guys chasing down Wouter. 11 kilometres to go. It is the sort of point in a race, though, if a significant split did happen, it could start, looking like it can last. If they could get themselves down to about 4 or 5 riders, I think it would suit them. And who would you pick to go in that? Maybe Rasmus Philpool. Certainly Nick Greenhouse and Doug Hart, I would expect to get in a group that splits off. Wouter Clays without a date. Matt James possibly. And most of the others could do. James Melville again. Most of those riders could get in a group, but you've got to be at the right place at the right time. And that is definitely the moon up ahead this week. I can confirm. I say that with reasonable assurance that I'm right, having got it completely wrong last week. They're getting darker. Look how long the shadows are getting, and they're going in the right direction from the moon as well. Absolutely fantastic. Just need some more buildings in the IndieVelo scenery, don't we? We're looking at Martin H, the Welshman, in this group. Plenty of orange in there. Orange actually still very discernible in the moonlight, whereas the ECKD jerseys seem to go a bit darker. They're not as bright a red as you see them in normal racing conditions. Martin H now in that front group, 5th, 33 riders, so that's 32 racers still in the race. The 33rd rider will be the camera bot. Wouter Clays now 255, cadence of 78. He's minus 1%, which is probably why he's not leading that much cadence. Cedes the lead to Roman Hubid and Roman Hubie, sorry, and one of the ECKD riders chasing now and getting on the front as well. It's Jasper Gottlieb, I should say. So it's a bit strung out, but not really dropping riders, are we? As we see them all going through. Another rider's catching up here. Joris Nit, Niels in there as well. It's Niels Bjornstein. And one of the IndieVelo Founders Club riders just on the back. It's just behind Henrik Mard and a few others. It's strung out, but I think it's going to hold together, isn't it? So we have 9.7. We're under the 10. Grant Crothers, Ratio rider, Norwegian flag. As I say, Grant Crothers doesn't sound typically Norwegian to me. But what do I know? And there's no reason why you shouldn't have a name that's not indigenous to the land you live in the modern world of mobility, is there? This is not unknown around the world in the modern times. So Roman Hubie now sitting on the front, as he has done for so much of the race. Martin H aiding and abetting there. Iger Copsey riding for Ratio these days, all in that group. Not particularly splintering, but have a look here, 23rd, Jakob Mathiasen with Nicky Hogard and one other, Jakob. Trying to remember. Jakob, it's Jakob, isn't it? Jakob and Nicky Hogard are in this group. The OTR rider Neil Walker from Inverness in Scotland, and Neil wearing different headgear, no helmet, and I suppose you could argue you don't really need one on that virtual racing. I'm sure I could be the only person who did a virtual race and fell off the bike in my garage and hurt myself. But I'm not going to go out there and try that. I'll stick to the commentary, and it's far safer, I assure you. You might make grammatical errors, you might get people's names wrong, and you might guess things wrong and all the rest of it. But I'm sure that everybody is totally amused when the commentator gets it wrong. I love it when I'm watching sport and the commentator gets wrong. I can be a grumpy old man and sit there and tut that the commentator doesn't know their facts and all the rest of it. This is still a sizable group though, isn't it? I mean, we've still got 8 kilometres to go and we've still got enough for a decent bunch sprint here. I don't think it will be. I think they'll closer to the end, about 4 or 5 riders will splinter off, and that will probably break into a couple of groups during the sprint in the last kilometre or something. But this is still large, and it still keeps the race interesting and wide open as you go past another one of those arches, but with nothing lit up on the screen, so it doesn't impact upon our race as Doug Hart takes it up on the front again. Martin H behind him, Nick Greenhouse in there, Rasmus Feldball, of course, Henrik Mard, Roman Hubie, all the regular names. So it's absolutely buzzing now, isn't it? It's yes, it's stringing out. The pressure's on the front, 46 kph on a 1% gradient. They are making people pay. This is a deliberate attempt, I suspect, to break some of the riders on the back. Looking here back at 19th, Niels Bjornstein off the back of that group, 273. He's going to burn a lot of power, but he's got 32 seconds on Grant Carruthers and 2 minutes on the group behind that. So probably not a lot of merit in trying to stay out on your own. Probably best to wait for Grant and try and work as a pair. We look at Jesper Rayberg here, and he's putting out 309 there, and he is in 16th position, struggling to keep on this group. You can see the damage. This is why the attacks happened here. It's only 1%, but going up to speed like that on 1% at 53 kph, it's caused a split. There's a few at the back now in trouble. Matt James for Electric Spirit, they do this a lot. They are strong on front. We're on the splitty bit, and anybody who got in the wrong split there will pay, but it looks like the main group's got together. But we've got a much smaller peloton going into the last 6.7 kilometres. It's Roman Hubie once again with Nick Greenhouse on his wheel. Nick just taking the draft there. Go, Doug. You are the best for me. Christophe Contant. Thanks very much, Christophe. Always contributing. Always the best. Lovely guy. Never met him in person, but we have been in contact for quite a few years now. Thanks to this wonderful world of virtual racing as we watch Henrik Mard for pedalers in the orange off the front. Remember, it's Henrik Mard with the helmet and Doug Hart without the helmet and the orange, bright orange kits. Looking back here at 18th, Jakob Hivid now just struggling to keep on Ingmar van Beurs and Jesper Rayberg. He's just sort of walking past those and getting on the front of that group, probably just going to sit up and take the draft, let them go around him. And that's exactly what seems to be happening. So this 4 now back on their own, and that'll be a private race. Oh, it looks like they're dropping one of the 4 there. It's ECK, it's Jakob Hivid, and he has sat up for a bit too long and now has to fight to get back on that group, but it looks like he's going to do it. This is on your right hand screen. He's dangling, and this is it. You spend a lot of energy getting back on the group, but he's managed to do it again. Well done, Jakob Hivid, and he's back in the 4 now. You need to kind of just make sure that you sit on the wheel, get a bit of rest now after all that effort. 2 catch-ups, but he's back in there with Ingmar van Beurs, Jesper Rayberg and Martin H from Wales. Back off to the front group now, just over 5 kilometres to go. We're getting into the final stages, the last 6th of the race. Coming up, it's the names you'd expect on the front: Joris Nitt and Doug Hart, Martin Oram, and we haven't mentioned them much because they've been sitting in the pack. Rasmus Feldball, Jesper Gottlieb, we have Igor Kopse, Matt James for Electric Spirit, who did that little turn on the front, Nick Greenhouse, of course. The 2 pedalers riders off the front now. They're not way off the front though. And, I've just been told by our producer that the big blob in front of us now is the sun, and I think he might be right. So we've been riding all the way through the night. You've got to hand it to these riders. This is an all-night race, and we're into the early morning sun now. What we need is some frost on the grass, don't we? And it's definitely the sun, as I've been reliably informed by our most knowledgeable producer, the wonderful Sir Damon Bates. So it's in the sunshine. Jakob Hivid now fighting to get on this group. He has left the other 2 behind him by a second or so. Wouter Claes at the back of that group, and you can see this is not a bad fight back by Jakob Hivid, is it? Very impressive. Ingmar van Beurs, Ratio, could they even get into this group? That would be spectacular, wouldn't it? Ingmar at 319 watts now, travelling at 53 kph and 0 degree gradient. So it's now this would be fantastic if these came back into it, wouldn't it? 4.1 k to go. The race is a little bit fragmented at the front, but it could be tighter than we first thought. Looking out at the front though, it is James Melville. So often does this, so often comes second or third, but he is one of the great racers on the scene. We love James Melville, we love the whole Glasgow United team. They are all aggressive front runners, they all give it a dig, they all light up a race. So does Doug Hart. Here comes Joris Nit. We've got 3.5 kilometres to go, but they are not far enough away from the bunch behind them. At one point, I thought we'd got a little group of about 6 or 8 that were going to get away. I don't think it's going to be that small. This lot fighting back again. You can see a couple of Ratio riders in there, and a couple of we've got 2 ECKDs in there, a couple of Ratios, a peddler. It's this is going to be amazing as it all comes back together. We've got a healthy group. Congrats, Wouter. You make the group smaller, Crystal Contact. And, Christoph was absolutely right. This is what you do. You go off the front like that to make the group smaller. There's a certain amount of you let the other ones come back on. But every time the ones that get back on gets less and less during the race, and you make the group smaller. This is the tactic. Christoph, you should be commentating on this, and I bet your French accent sounds better than mine. But and I know you can speak good English as well, better than my French. Anyway, look at this. This is going to be a fantastic finish, isn't it? 2.7 kilometres to go. Who knows who's going to attack and when? Now, I think you've got people like Doug Hart, Rasmus Feldbull and James Melville who might go even more than a kilometre out. They are likely to go early. Those are the sort of tactics they do. So look out, Doug Hart, Rasmus Feldbull or perhaps James Melville likely to go outside of 1 kilometre. Wouter Claes, he might, but I don't think he will. He might. He sometimes does that. And in fact, he might go out even earlier than that. Wouter might even go at 1.5, even as far as 2 sometimes. I've seen Wouter do this. But if not, Wouter will go around 400 metres, I would guess. Now, who else? Roman Hubi. I don't know his tactics enough. I haven't seen him ride enough. And but those are the ones that I think now. Matt James is another one to look out for. Electric Spirit, very good finishers as a team. It seems to be a trait of their team. So Matt James is another one that I would say might attack. I'm not sure where he might pick his point. I would say between 500 and 1 kilometre would be my guess for Matt James. I'm only guessing, of course. Now then, it's ECKD riders. 1.9. We're inside the 2 kilometre mark to go. And it's look at that. That is James Melville on the back, just taking the draft. I think James is biding his time in the draft here. I think this is deliberate. I think he knows there's no point being on the front right now because this is going to be a big burst soon and you need what you got. And it is Rasmus Feldbull off the front, Doug Hart, 2 of the riders I predicted, 1.5k to go. You can expect these sort of riders to go in around, getting close to 1 kilometre than this. James Melville just making sure he's on the back of that group now. James Melville will be in the mix for this, I almost guarantee you. I think he's deliberately sitting on the back. Doug Hart now pushing out as predicted, 1.2k to go. Will the others respond or will a gap appear? It's Doug Hart and Rasmus Feldbull. It's Henrik Mard and Rasmus Feldbull, I beg your pardon. My own rule of look out if you see a peddler's jersey, look and see whether they wear a helmet or not. But look at the damage. James Melville now being distanced slightly. I said he would be in the mix. He's just behind Wouter Claes. These guys will be involved though. James Melville back into that group. Wouter Claes moving up a little bit too. James Melville pulling up towards the leaders. Wouter Claes still sitting on the back a little bit. I'm a little bit surprised. I think Wouter will go for about a 400 metre sprint based on this. But it's Doug Hart and Rasmus. It's Jesper Gottlieb now off the front. The front two is Jesper Gottlieb now. I didn't predict him, but it's still 600 metres to go. This is still a long way. Jesper, though, has got a second on Doug Hart. That is a good second. But here comes the chase. And who have we got? Roman Hubi and Iger Kopsy. Iger Kopsy for Ratio. I think they're making up ground. I don't think Jesper's got enough left, but there's 400 metres. It's still a long way. Roman Hubi now goes past Doug Hart. And can Jesper do it? He's down to the under 300 metres mark. But again, Roman Hubi chasing as we come down to 200 metres to go. And I don't think the gap's closing quick enough. You can see the finishing line. I think Jesper's going to do it. And I think Roman might lose that place to Iger Copsey. Jesper is going to do it. Absolutely fantastic. He held out so well. Not in my predictions. Oh, and look at that. Roman Hubi losing out between the two Ratio riders. Bouncer Clay's taking 5th in there. And just behind him, Matt James. And so Jesper Gottlieb, who I didn't predict at all, confounds the commentator once again. Anders Jonsson now coming in, Swede. He's got 12 seconds on Ingmar van Beurs for Ratio. And it was Iger Copsey, Roman Hubi. So it was Iger Copsey and Nick Greenhouse. We knew who they were. I didn't quite catch the order. It was Iger Copsey taking second. Nick Greenhouse having a settled fourth as we watch Anders finish. Bouncer Clay's 5th, as I said. Matt James for Electric Spirit, as we said. Martin Oram for Cycle Denmark. So Denmark getting 1st and 7th in their own race as we watch Jakob Huvid now just chasing in. This is Niels Bjornstein. Again, another one of the ECKD riders, one in the sub-teams, FIAK. He's got 45 seconds on Grant Crothers, so I think he's fairly safe to sit up with 800 metres to go and will finish. If he finishes, I suppose he's 19th at the moment. Doug Hart ended up 8th ahead of Jorgen van Beurs. Joris Nitt at 10th, the German. James Melville, and I said he'd feature all the way back in 11th, but he was in that front bunch. Martin H., the Welshman, beating Henrik Mard ahead of Rasmus Feldball. Another one of my predictions way back in 14. How wrong can you be? This is the nightmare of being a commentator. What do you know? But it makes sport unpredictable, wasn't it? I mean, I was at a football game last night, and I think my team was losing 2-1 with 20 minutes to go. We didn't think we could win the game, and we won the game 4-2. So, and we were all sitting there assuming we'd lost the game. This is what makes sport so much fun. And when you get finishes like you just had here with Jesper clinging on, it's nice to know that things do work out for people who push out on the front as well. But wasn't it exciting? That the next three neck and neck, and the way the two Ratio Raiders, Ratio Raiders. That's a good name, isn't it? Ratio Racing Raiders. You need a third name on there, Alex or Nick, if you're listening. Ratio Racing Raiders. That's what you want to be called. Martin H. is 12th, Henrik Mard 13th. We all know Arger is going to make a fast finish. Go Doug Hart and Henrik Mard, you were able. I think Christoph might have put that up a little bit earlier, and it's only just reached our screens. Obviously been round the world on the internet before it reached us. Grant Carruthers for Ratio now. Going back to the results, Rasmus Feldball 14th. Anders Jonsson we saw finish in 15th. Jakob Huvid did so much work. Ended up 16th ahead of Ingmar van Beurs, Jesper Rayberg and Niels Bjornstein. Fantastic racing tonight, guys. Well done, everybody. Fleece Active Naturel is the FIAK team. I'll say natural 3 active. I can probably get. I'll go and have to go and learn some Scandinavian language. Really, the strongest wins tonight. Incredible sprint via ECKD. Christoph, once again, great to have you participating. We watched Grant Carruthers finish. And we've got another little race off here. OTR and 2 ECKD riders. Neil Walker from Inverness. Well, it's not Inverness, it's Stonehaven, I think. But it's up near. It's up in the northern half of the country. And he's sitting behind the 2 ECKD riders. He's got Jakob Mathiasen and Nicky Hogard there. And I think he's just going to sit in there. Wily character he is too. They've got 800 metres. And you can see he's just taking that draft, waiting for his moment. 700 metres. I think he'll go maybe around 250, 300 metres would be my guess. But I don't know what Nicky and Jakob have got in mind. Certainly they know that Neil is lurking. This is cat and mouse, 600 metres. Oh, Neil's gone earlier than I thought. Neil's gone with 600 metres to go. The response coming from Nicky Hogard, as I'd expect. Jakob Mathiasen, the third one to respond. But Neil is pulling out ground, and it's Jakob. He's responded last. but it's him who's making up ground, if anybody is, on Neil Walker. They haven't got round the bend. Neil's got to get around that bend to have a chance, because I think Jakob is catching him. 300 metres to go. I would put my money on Jakob right now. Neil, you're going to have to push really, really hard. You can't even see the finishing line yet. It's sort of come into view there, but look, you're going to run out of road. Jakob is going to go past. Neil, you need to respond right now or it's gone. And Jakob, well done, sir. You were the last one to respond to the sprint, and yet you took it. Well done, Neil, for lighting it all up. Nicky, bad luck. You did try hard, and it does illuminate the race when we get little moments like that. And this is what I mean. You do not have to be at the front to have fun in these sorts of races. Wasn't that absolutely fantastic? Henrik Paulsen hasn't got to race anybody because he's got 41 seconds on Craig Jones behind him, and Craig has got 10 seconds on Hugh J. And Hugh J, though, might have a bit of a tussle with Andrew Street. So going back to some of the results, Ingmar van Berg 17th, Jesper Rayberg. Neil Bjornstein finishing 19th, as we saw. Grant Carruthers taking 20th ahead of Jakob Mathiasen at 21st. Neil Walker, having been pipped by Jakob, has to settle for 22nd, but did beat Nicky Hogard, who tried so hard to make something of that sprint. And 23rd place was Nicky's reward. We still got a few to finish. It's Henrik Paulsen now. He's got 1.7 kilometres to go. So that won't. That's going to take a little while. Shall we just remind ourselves of what's coming up in January with Tour du Monde? I'm sure that Henrik won't mind if we don't cover the whole of his march to the finish, because Tour du Monde is coming in January on IndieVelo. It's 12 races. It was huge on RGT. It is going to be huge on IndieVelo. Anything that OTR touch is huge. And, well, I think it's got all the pedigree you need, isn't it? I think that's all you need to know. Just keep your eyes open and let's see what's happened. And we get towards the finish. Here we have Henrik Paulsen now. Still 1.2 kilometres to go. Craig Jones, I'm a little bit. Something must have happened. Craig Jones, I would have expected to have been a little bit further up the field. It was a very fast race, to be fair. It was very, very fast at times. 53 kph. Yes, it's a flat course, and you get a peloton with a bit of momentum. I can see that, and certainly riders on the front trying to stretch it out and thin the group down. So maybe, if you do get dropped out of it, sometimes you just have to sit up and accept that cycling on your own is probably not going to be as fast, but you can enjoy the scenery and enjoy the participation, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? So Craig now has got 1.3 kilometres to go. Actually, a little bit of ground being made up by Andrew Street and Hugh J. It's 7 seconds now. He could get caught. I don't know what state of play he's in and state of mind he's in, but you can actually see the riders behind him in the dim and distant rear there. So, huge arse in the rear. It's all right. I don't think we'll get censored for that one. I'm just looking at... he's got the Australian colours on, hasn't he, as well? And he's done that quite tastefully, I think. It's... the way he's played that kit out with that green and yellow, I think the Australian national team need to have they need to sign him up for their kit design. I personally think. I think that's the best Australian kit I've ever seen. I love that. They're really good, and I think it's the best use of colours I've seen. I mean, all the others look like Norwich City, don't they? The Henrik Paulsen. There's nothing wrong with Norwich, although he did beat my team on Saturday. So maybe there is this week. Henrik Paulsen now just down to the last 200 kilometres, and he comes from Denmark, so he won't have cycled in Norwich, that's for sure. And he's going to take 24th place. And there's, I tell you, wherever you finish in these, they are fantastic workouts, aren't they? I don't get to ride as many as I would like because I'm sat this side of the microphone. But I know from doing them that wherever I finished, I used to just come off the bike quite exhilarated, because there'd be personal battles like how fast can I do it, where can I finish, little duels because you've got other people with you, working together, making new friends, and especially if you're not talking online, afterwards, catching up with people after the race, saying, "Oh, well done, thanks for giving me a tow, enjoyed the sprint." This is community stuff. Craig Jones is one of the best people in the community. Not least because rather like the Australian kick coming up behind him, behind huge ass. Huge ass is not behind. He's not at the rear. He's in front. He takes the sprint. So well done, Hugh. Right, Tideman is in our vision now. He's got Patrick Krogland. I don't think we've mentioned Patrick yet, so let's give Patrick a special mention. And Soren Tideman. Well done. Sean Lavelle is behind them, and we've got Per Tideman as well. I wonder if they're related. Anyway, that's another one that finishes in orange. We get to mention orange again. Some of the results coming up on the side. We've got Sean Lavelle coming in now for OTR. Well done, Sean. Fantastic. Per Tideman is the next rider. And there's Per. 8.9 kilometres to go. I don't think we're going to have time to cover you, but what we're going to do, we'll read out the rest of these results from the people ahead of you. And that way you get a bit of airtime, and well done for doing it as well. I mean, it's fantastic. It doesn't matter where you finish, you're going to get a workout, aren't you? 24th was Heinrich Poulsen for old BMX Fools, and Craig Jones, the man with the. We had two great kits there, didn't we? 25, the Welsh one and the Australian one. Craig and Hugh lighting us up with artistic, creative designs in the world of artificial cycling. Fantastic stuff. Andrew Street, well done. OTR Wicked. Patrick Cradland and Saren Tideman taking 28th and 29th between them. Sean Lavelle from OTR Wicked taking 30th and 31st, assuming that the electricity doesn't cut out and you get stuck before the finish. And I will say, you are in Denmark. Last time I was in Denmark, and I was actually cycling there, although not when this happened, there was a huge power cut, and our car was in a multi-storey car park that had electronic gates to get out, and everybody in the car park couldn't get their car out of the car park because there was no electricity to move the barriers. So we were stuck in this town for hours and hours and hours, all worrying about the parking fee going up because we'd been in there so many hours because we couldn't get out because of the electricity cut. So they do have power cuts in Denmark. I reckon, though, given how coastal it is and huge blobs of it being islands, if in 5 to 10 years' time it'll be so wind powered that you won't get the same sort of power cuts, I guess. Anyway, the Danes won their own race. Look at that. Jesper Gottlieb. Great, isn't it? A home win. ECKD's Jesper Gottlieb. The winner tonight, beating two Slovenians, Igor Kopse, Roman Hubie, and Nick Greenhouse, first of the Brits, in fourth place. Wouter Claes for the wonderful Belgium, one of my favourite countries in the world, finishing fifth. Matt James and Doug Hart, both British, sandwiching Martin Oram in seventh place. Another one of the E-Cycle Denmark club. So Denmark getting two riders in the top 10. Well done, guys. Home race, Doug Hart 8th, as we said. Jorgen van Beurs, first of the third out of the Rassier riders, because he got and Nick Greenwich, but first out of the Van Beurs Rassier riders. Ingmar obviously further behind. Joris Neert for the Germans. Deutschland taking 10th place in yet another wonderful race. And one of the reasons it's wonderful is because ZMS did the production on this. As ever, always thank you. It is first rate. It is really the best e-cycling coverage you can get. If it's got ZMS on it, watch it. And I'm sure between the other commentators and me, I'm sure the sentiment is the same throughout. We all love working with ZMS. Hope you love watching it. We've loved having you. We've loved the race. Thank you, ECKD, for putting it on. And we'll see you again on Monday for Monday Malarkey, 7:30. So that's 7:30 p.m. UK time. Make sure you got the UK time. And that's Monday Malarkey. And we'll see you there. 77 in this week. 76 in this week. 77 last week. 79 the week before. They are big races. And we'd like you to be part of the big races. See you then. And take care.